So, do you think editors show biases and screen the submitted paper's subjective manner as the editors know who's submitting and from where this happens when a writer submit the paper from the lower middle income countries? Okay, actually, I have a very recent example on that. So, I'm originally from former Yugoslavia, from Serbia, and there is a group there that, let's say, I'm not collaborating with, but they're scientists, and they've submitted a paper to a journal that actually publishes what I even thought similar topic to them, but it was desk rejected immediately. And their first reaction was that they were rejected because they're from Serbia, they're not as famous as some people from other countries and other institutions, not to mention they don't even have money to pay for the publication charges. So it had to be followed by the letter to the editor asking them to waive the charges and such things. And it was desk rejected. And then they contacted me to see for some advice, if you will. And so I've picked two different journals for them to choose one of them, where I've seen for a fact the papers were published on the topic and they've submitted it. And so far, they haven't been rejected yet. So I think that's a good sign. Um, so um, I know that we as reviewers and all these things, we go through the trainings for removing bias, from being as objective as possible, um, and things like that. So the fact that editor knows who you are, most of the time depends on the journal policy. Sometimes it's a double blind where they don't know who you are and you don't know who they are. Sometimes, but most of the time, people who write the reviewers are anonymous. Okay, that's most of the time. And so the reviewers usually know who people are, but you have to understand that you cannot have all the reviewers coming from Ivy League schools in United States, okay, from super well-funded labs. It just doesn't work that way. There's, you know, millions of researchers all over the world, and the journals are now being very mindful of making sure that demographically it covers a wide range of peer reviewers and so on. So I would like to think that there should be minimal bias towards anything like that. uh, Nobel Prize winners get papers rejected. Okay, it's not personal, I would say, although I know it's easier for some people to say that than others, but I believe that, and that's how I live my life, that it doesn't matter because nobody chooses where to be born or how to look, but you just choose what you do. And wherever you are in the world, you're trying your best to do what you can where you are, and that needs to be recognized. If they see your peer reviewer, could that help the way they access the fit for your paper? I'm not sure I understand the question quite well, but if they know, for instance, that I am a peer reviewer for that journal, then I have sometimes a privilege to submit my paper if I think it fits the journal scope for review. It depends on the organization. Sometimes they don't want you to submit because it could be conflict of interest. So it really depends. You need to read the journal policy.